All right, we added some additional functionality to the release schedule in Contract ERP. Recently, we made the release schedule to be more by location, and now we added additional functionality so that it doesn't exclusively have to be by location. It could be more by like a group of locations. So if you have locations that are very close to each other, or you have locations that multiple locations that's really in one location, which is not recommended, but I know people do. But in that case, that fleet of trucks that you have doing your deliveries actually belongs to multiple locations. So we added fleet functionality in the delivery schedule. All right, so we'll start off by looking at the locations. And you'll see in this example, right, we have only 3 locations, Florida location and 2 Long Island locations. The 2 Long Island locations in this example, they're very close to each other. They're just like a block away. So basically they share the same trucks, right, for their deliveries. So trucks will maybe start at one location, pick up the items to deliver, go to the second location if needed, and then go out and do the deliveries. So this is why so that group of trucks we call a fleet. So in this example, we have, Florida has one fleet, a Florida fleet, and the 2 Long Island locations share the same fleet. So Long Island fleet. We can go look up to the fleet table. The 2 fleets, right? Very simple code description and a primary location used for just as a start location for the delivery routes. If we go into the trucks for that fleet, you see the trucks can be set up. So we have a flatbed, a tractor trailer, and 2 vans in this, again, very simple example. And a Florida fleet, we have a flatbed and a tractor trailer. Okay, so what I'm also going to show in this video, we also, besides the fleet functionality, we also added some functionality to do some more simple delivery schedule functions. So we realized that not everybody uses the delivery schedule for all the bells and whistles, like with the Big Maps integration and delivery by capacity and stuff like that. So I'm gonna show a couple new features to if you just using the delivery schedule for with no Big Maps and really barely even capacity. So if you're just using it for lead time auto scheduling, this will help with that also. All right, so let's go to the delivery schedule groups. Okay, so here we have 3 of these also. Very simple. Florida is very simple, right? There's one group, one fleet, and it goes out 5 days a week, right? And then Long Island, just to show this, you can set up your group. You can do the delivery schedule groups in multiple ways, like we know, right? So in this example, we have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday group that's for the Long Island fleet. And this basically goes to everything that they deliver to off of Long Island. So it'll go to Bronx, Connecticut, Manhattan, New Jersey, Staten Island, and Westchester. And the Tuesday, Thursday, we'll do everything on Long Island, right? So on the physical island, right? So we have Brooklyn, Nassau, Queens, and Suffolk. All right, and again, I'm just showing that because you can do delivery schedules in different ways, right? So, all right, so let's let's take a current look at the delivery schedule, right? And you can see that this has now been changed to fleet. It was location, right? So we have multiple fleets that we can filter by and run our boards by, right? So we have our groups just like normal here, right? So we have one group for 7/14, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we're gonna go. I have an order set up that just to show. That will release and have it auto schedule into that day. We have a requested date at 7:15, and we have 3 lines from 3 locations. So this might be an extreme circumstance, but being from the three lines from 3 locations, but just to showcase how this would work when I go and release this. Okay, quantity of 1 on all 3. So the Long Island one should go to the Long Island fleet, and the Florida one should obviously go to the Florida fleet. Right, so 18. Go back to the delivery schedule. Okay. And there it is. 18 for the quantity of 2. Go back to Florida. So the 1 is going to get delivered from Florida. Next example, for some reason, this one item only ships from Florida, so it's going to ship from Florida to the Bronx. But there you go. All right, so basically taking what we did, doing this by location, but doing it in a way that if you have locations that share the same trucks, you can group those locations into a fleet, because it's a delivery schedule, and really what you imagine is a fleet of trucks. So there you go. Now, like I mentioned, we also made some changes to, if you're using the delivery schedule in a slightly easier way, then it can be used, right? Like I said, without all the bells and whistles, right? So normally here, the next step. So when you're ready to do your routes, you normally go in and say create routes, and this would create routes based on the zones and the breakpoints and the capacity of trucks potentially, and a bunch of different rules when it comes to that. Like, so if you go back to the delivery schedule group, Long Island one is a better example. It doesn't really matter. Go back to zones, right, and you have all this stuff like schedule order number and breaks and stuff like that, and if you have a default truck, and if your trucks have capacities set up for themselves and maximum number of stops and stuff like that, then it will create your routes based on all that logic. But as we're saying now, is that some companies, they don't need all that logic. They don't want to set all that up. It doesn't really apply to them, and they just want to create empty routes for the day and start dragging and dropping the orders into that route. So we added this very simple create empty routes, right? Where you have two ways of doing this. You can just, do a number of routes to create. So you can say like 2 routes or 3 routes or whatever, and then it will create 3 empty routes for you. Or you can say create a route for each truck and fleet, and that will, do exactly what it says, right? So let's go and choose that option. So here we go. Created route 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each truck that we have in the fleet, right? And now you can just go and start dragging and dropping, into those routes. Okay. So that's the one new feature, right? And the second one, I'm just going to drag it all into this one route to show this next one. Okay, so the next, simple one is when it was time to start sequencing, you would need the Bing Maps integration to start that sequencing, right? So you go in and you say sequence via Bing, or you would go to the map and so sequencing via Bing manually through the map. So we added this option so you really don't need that Bing integration. Again, if it doesn't really apply to you, you guy managing the board, he knows the sequence that it should be. He doesn't need to look at it on a map or whatever. So we added this very simple just sequence, right? So you hit that, you say yes, and you'll see that it sequenced this route just straight up manually for you. Now, you see that the first 2 have a sequence number of 1, and that is because they're going to the same place, Yankee Stadium. And the other places, Empire State Building, Grand Central. This guy has some big clients, so they're going to different places. So because it's going to the same address, it gave 1. Started with sequence of 1, and then just simply sequence from there on. And then you can, of course, drag and drop to resequence in that route. So that's it. Just a few new features for the delivery schedule in the next version. See ya.